About the world?
Yeah, there's, to my knowledge, there is no motherhood studies program in any university in the world. Now, there's motherhood studies courses, but you can't minor in motherhood studies like you can minor or major in women's studies or African studies or Latina studies. Interestingly, now, the huge growth area in North America is children's studies. Most universities now have a children's studies major, but there's no motherhood studies major. And in some universities in the States, not in Canada, they have what's called family studies. As you can, that can be your program of study. But I know people who work in family studies, and it really isn't motherhood studies. It's, it's a lot of psychology, and a lot of it is even almost kind of like updated home ec. It's about, creating family and not so much domesticity, but it isn't a really theoretical, and it certainly isn't progressive family studies. So, without motherhood studies as an academic discipline, it's really hard to get institutional financial support because you can't be housed anywhere. You can't be affiliated with anybody that would then support you.
So
right?
what do you say? Okay, this you probably get asked this a lot about the why not say parents?
Oh gosh, yeah. In fact, I think there might be a paper or two on that because I always go back to Shira Richter. The reality is, well, first of all, I don't think to parent someone doesn't mean the same as mothering, and as an English person, words matter. And I think when we use mother, it means, look it up in the dictionary, it means to nurture and to care and so forth. Parent doesn't say that in the dictionary. Parent is in this very, I don't even know what it is, like very truncated kind of, descriptive, to be a parent of. So that's one reason. I mean, to parent doesn't imply nurturance and care and maternal thinking and practice that Richter theorized. But also, it's women who do the work. So, and, so Richter, she her book, she talks a lot about why she continues the word mother. But then she does insist that anybody can mother, including men. Right, so it's to recognize that it is women who are doing parent work, right? And parent is a cop out. Like I always think of parenting magazines. When my kids were young, I used to read those magazines. They were called Parenting Today or whatever. 98% of the readership were women. So, like, who are we kidding by calling it parents? I mean, if men are, the only exception I would say is in the Scandinavian countries. They can use the word parent, because men are far more engaged in the rearing of children there. And in fact, motherhood studies cannot take off in Scandinavia. I've tried. They don't understand what we're doing. They say, well, why isn't it parenting studies? But there I get it. I've been enough scholars from Scandinavia. And because of their progressive social policies, men are far more involved in, and I think men are mothers there. And so they have like the Association for Parenting Studies there, and they do. But I think when we reach that point, then maybe then we can use the word parent. But until men are actually doing their fair share of rearing children, we have to keep using the word mother. I think. I mean, and I know it alienates some men, but I also think that's just, it's always, what about men?
My partner, he's quite he says, well, why don't you call it fathering? Why when I do this kind of work of caring, why do you call it, well, you're doing mothering work?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are organizations. In fact, there was once again, because of lack of institutional support, there was a great organization at the University of Guelph, and they got a 5-year grant, but then the funding wasn't renewed, and they disappeared. But they were doing fathering studies, but they were, first of all, fathering studies can be very right-wing and anti-women, right, and anti-mother. But they were a very progressive fathering, and they did great publications. They did a conference every other year. And they actually had something they called feminist fathering. I think they called it involved fathering, studies for involved fathering or something. And they did great work. But people say, why aren't you doing fathering? And I said, because I'm not. If you want to do it, go ahead. Like, that's just not what we're doing. Doesn't mean I think it shouldn't be done. But that's not what we're doing. And I find it insulting, to say, well, why aren't you including fathers? Well, because that's not what we're doing. You do it if you think it's important, right? We're doing it because the majority of women around the world are the ones who care for children. And the ones, and the people that care for children are women. That's the reality. And I'm not saying men aren't involved. There's lots of fabulous fathers out there who I think are mothering.
Why?
Because they're truly engaged. They are not just delegated work. They're not just saying, honey, can you remember to buy the milk or sign the permission form?